core principle is you don't throw away data because it was too expensive to store.
We keep having more and more data.
It was very clear to me that a lot of companies in the future were going to move this direction. Every one of them can be querying data in Databricks with the AtScale semantic layer.
Democratizing access to everyone without having to do this trade-off. Hi, my name is Youssef, and today we have a special guest. It's Dave Mariani, CTO of AtScale.
Hi, Youssef. Thanks for having me on.
It's a real pleasure. So please, can you tell me more first about you, then about your company?
Yeah, thanks, Youssef. So I'm the CTO and co-founder of AtScale, and I've been in data, big data from the very start. Back at Yahoo, I was at Yahoo when we were inventing Hadoop. I worked with Hadoop as our sort of main data lake at Yahoo and really sort of struggled to make that data in Hadoop available to the business. So at Yahoo, I ran analytics, and every team had a different tool. We had Tableau, we had MicroStrategy, we had Excel, we had custom applications, we had ClickView. And ultimately, what I saw happening was that everybody was taking extracts. So I had to create had a team of 200 people who basically took all the data in Hadoop and made it really small to make it work for these different BI tools for each different division, each different Yahoo web property. And at the end of the day, nobody could agree, Youssef, on what a click was or what an impression was. It was chaos. And so as a result of that experience, and just the experience working at other companies like Axiom, running data and analytics, for an ad network, it was very clear to me that there was something that was missing in the stack, in the analytics stack. And that was a semantic layer. And not just a semantic layer, because semantic layers have been around for a long time, right? They've been embedded typically in the BI tool. Sometimes they're embedded in the database in the form of views in the database. And what I really wanted was an independent layer where I could put all my business logic in one place and then allow any tool to access that data, but get the same answers and get the same interface and get the same great performance without moving data. So that's what AtScale is. It's a universal semantic layer. It works really well with Databricks, and it allows the data to stay in Databricks without having to create extracts or imports like typically people have to do today when they want to get access to data for analytics.
Yeah, I was listening to your background. It's really amazing. You were there at Yahoo when Hadoop was born, and using all those technologies, really really amazing, and I'm so impressed.
Youssef, we saw at the time, big data was not really a term yet. This is how old I am. But big data wasn't really a term yet. But it was very clear to me that a lot of companies in the future were going to move this direction. That they weren't going to throw away data, because that was always at Yahoo. That was always our core principle is you don't throw away data. And people were just not collecting it back then because it was too expensive to store, because all they had was Oracle. They had relational databases that were very expensive. And so Hadoop sort of broke those boundaries for us. And so it was very clear to me that people would want to store more data, which meant that they would want to analyze more data.
That's totally right. And I believe that's what pushes you to work or to start up this idea of AtScale.
Yeah, and so now we have a lot of joint customers that are getting a lot of value. What I love about it is that there's no more compromises. What we've asked business users to do is basically compromise, and they're going to compromise based on their latency. So they're going to get older data. Or we're going to ask them to get less data, so they have less visibility of what's happening, because we're going to take data away because we can't give it to them, all of them. And we're going to ask them to wait a long time to get it, because we're going to have to prep it for them to get it into the form that they can actually use. And that's just that's just wrong. And so that's what we really set out at AtScale to solve, is to say, hey, you know what? All data to all people in the form and in the tool that they already know. So don't force them to change their habits. Don't force them to move to another technology to visualize. Let them use it. If they want to use Excel, which I would love to show you how Databricks appears in Excel. Let them use Excel. Think Excel. There's billions of users of Excel out there, and every one of them can be querying data in Databricks with the AtScale semantic layer.
That's really amazing. It's democratizing access to everyone without having to do these trade-offs as you did mention. I'm pretty curious. Can you show me how to connect AtScale with Databricks?
Yeah, let's do that. So let me share my screen, and let me show you what the semantic layer looks and semantic model looks. Okay, so this is what we call Design Center, Youssef. So Design Center is for the data steward to basically prep the data, and they're going to prep the data with a semantic model, and they're only going to do that once, Youssef. So we're going to create it once and then use many. So rather than forcing users to create a model in their BI tool, they're just going to be able to consume the data you see here on the right. So here's our preview. This is what the BI or the business analyst is going to see. And they're going to see things like sales metrics organized, in my case, in a folder, like order quantity and sales amount, etc. And they're going to see multidimensional data. I got a bunch of customer attributes about where they live. I may want to roll them up from city and country and state, or I want to may use zip code to postal code to look at them. And I may want to look at my data by orders and order dates, as well as shipping dates. And so I have all of this available to me without having to actually understand the modeling of the data. Now, what you see over here on the left is the actual physical data from Databricks. So here's the main sort of source of this data. It's called Fact Internet Sales, and it's just a transaction log of retail data. And you can see some of the data, Youssef, is actually key value pairs or JSON data. Some of it, you can see some of the dates are in numbers, some of the dates are in strings. So what we've done here in the model is we've created these calculations to be able to do things like creating a calculated tax, all done virtually. And we've created these dimensions, which you see in green here, by creating them as objects. So the customer dimension, if I double click on it, is actually another model that's made up of a geography dimension and as well as a gender dimension and a table coming from Databricks. That's a Delta table for customers' data. And then a geography dimension has four other tables to roll up those two different hierarchies. So all this complexity is hidden from the user. Okay, so then you asked, how do I connect to Databricks? Well, I already know AtScale's model is connected to Databricks now. So what I did is I just went ahead and deployed that model. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and switch my hats and become first just an Excel user. So let's go and let's get the data in Excel. So Youssef, watch what I do here. You see how I use this analysis services connector?
Yeah.
So this is really unique because with Excel wants to speak for live pivot tables, it wants to use an analysis services interface. And so we emulate that interface, which means I can just put in the AtScale connection string and use my normal Windows credentials. And just like that, here's all my Databricks data. And here's that model that I saw called Internet Sales. And now I can create a live pivot table on it. So I didn't have to model any data. I didn't have to dump any data because here's that semantic model that you just saw in AtScale. See, you have all the different, there's the folder for sales metrics, and I can just go ahead and click on that. And now I'm running live queries in Databricks. And you remember I had those different hierarchies for where my customers lived? Well, there's those two hierarchies. And so now what I'm doing is I'm getting that live data, and now I'm drilling down on that data, and it's actually applying security attributes because I can only see Canada and the U.S. Because of my row-level security I've set. And then here's all my states. And for people who don't want to use a pivot table, you can turn these into formulas. See this convert to formulas? Now, this is not at scale functionality. This is actually Excel functionality. But watch what I can do, Yusuf. So I can go ahead now, and these individual cells now turn into, or these individual that table now turns into individual cell formulas. You see how it says cube value here?
Yeah.
So I can take Mississippi data, and I can take Utah data, and I can take California data, and I can embed it anywhere in my workbook. And when it comes time to refresh the data, I say refresh, and those cells will automatically be refreshed, regardless of how they're being used or where they're being used in my workbook. So this just like that, and that fast. So same thing with Power BI. So Power BI, with Power BI, I can go ahead and again use that analysis services endpoint instead of actually having to understand how to connect to my cluster. So I can still use that XMLA interface, and I'm going to do that. And look, Yusuf, I'm connecting live, not
Okay.
import mode. Most people are going to connect in import mode because connecting live is not possible with unless you're connecting to analysis services or Power BI Premium. But look at this. I can go ahead and select that model, and all I have to do is select it, and it's going to connect live now. So it's not going to use the direct query interface because the direct query interface is slow. It's using a live connection like you see here. And just like I did, there's my same semantic model here, right? There's my metrics that you saw in Excel. Here's like my all my different measures that you see here. And then again, here's that geography dimension that you saw under my customers. And again, I can go ahead and look at my data and look at my data by my geography, just like that. And if I look at my model view in Power BI, you can see that the model is inherited, Youssef. So I don't have to recreate this whole model as a
Yeah.
Power BI user before I start to do my analytics. It's already been done for me. I just connect to it and go. Okay, so what was happening behind the scenes? So let me show you like what happens in what I just did on this model. So I'll go ahead and select my query log here. So here you see internet sales, and here's all the queries I just ran. And you can see, look at this query right here, Yusuf. You can see it says it used AGS, and it ran in 360 milliseconds. Well, there's that MDX query that came from Excel. And then you can see here's the query we ran against Databricks. And if you notice this special table here, this is an aggregate table. So what AtScale did is it built off of what could have been a trillion rows of data in my Databricks cluster. It actually built an aggregate and use that aggregate to deliver that query in 319 milliseconds. And AtScale will maintain these aggregates. Look at that aggregate; it was 6 rows. So that's how we're able to deliver speed of thought queries, but without having to go to import mode or to go to extracts like you do with Tableau, or dumping data in Excel by running queries and then copying and pasting. So that's really how it works, Youssef. You can create these models in literally minutes, and then anybody can use those models and query those models in a very easy to use fashion, using the tools that they already know and love.
It's very impressive to be honest. And I'm pretty sure we have a lot of folks that loves using Excel, and pretty sure they can combine at scale Databricks and keep using Excel. I mean, it's a myth. I mean, we keep having more and more data, but people sticks with the same, let's say, serving part. But that, I mean, it's really really amazing. And I have another question for you, Dave. If someone wants to reach out to your team, is there any link that I can add in the description? And also, if you have any uh, page where people can learn to use AtScale, that's gonna be amazing. So we can share this with the community.
Yeah, a couple call outs, Youssef. So first of all, we're in Partner Connect. So if you go to your console, in your Databricks console. You can go to Partner Connect and you can go for a free trial with AtScale and Partner Connect. So that's one way you can do it. And the other way I would say is we have the Semantic Layer Summit coming up on April 24th. We have some very exciting announcements to happen there. And I don't want to give anything away, but look for Semantic Layer Summit. Just Google search that. Sign up. It's free. It's a virtual conference. And we're going to be making some big announcements on other ways that you can try AtScale and try it for free. So today, go to Partner Connect, come to Semantic Layer Summit, and see all the exciting new news that we have for the product and for the Semantic Layer community.
So you will have all the links in the description of the video, and make sure to all register and watch the Semantic Layer conference.
Yeah, that's great.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dave. Thank you for showing us the value of AtScale, and it's very, very impressive, and I wish you good luck.
Thanks, Youssef.